We are live. The AI revolution, the IAI revolution actually today, because we will have a special guest here in a moment, CEO of Delphi.ai. We teased this a little bit last week. We didn't know the CEO was going to come on the call with us, but Bryce and I started building a Cody clone, AI clone. Has my voice. We'll have it. We're still tweaking it. Eventually, it'll even have my face. I'm going to have it come on the call next week, and I'm not even showing up. Just kidding. I will show up, but we're going to interact with.
Do they do faces? That particular does Delphi do faces?
Yeah. He's gonna bring his clone today.
Yeah, he will bring his clone today.
Okay, I went on that site and I started a conversation with two people. One was Cody. And the other was somebody who's like a productivity guru. Just I went by topic.
Yeah.
Or Brendan Burchard. Yeah. And but it was text only.
It has my voice and everything. Bryce and I have been playing with it. What we plan to do actually this week is we've uploaded by the way, let's finish the introductions. I'm Cody. That's Bryce. This is John Dio. John's been working in the AI industry for.
Oh, you know, you did that. You left that out last time, and it was really good. So,
sorry.
For some number of years. That's how.
Decades. The man has been working for some number of decades in the AI industry since the mid '90s. You guys can do the math. And I'm Cody. I run a hedge fund. Bryce works with me. We run a technology hedge fund. We focus on revolution investing, i.e. the AI revolution. You guys like how I did that IEAI thing there? That was pretty alliterative and valish. At any rate, yes, we have a guest coming on. He'll talk a little bit more about this. We'll play with it some more. What we plan to do, we've uploaded 15 years of trading with Cody and other Cody Willard writing. By the way, Bryce, I had a blog that was non-financial. It was just personal life blog.
Yeah.
And I had someone who worked for me about 10 years ago go on whatever website it was, it was on some like Blogger or something. And we downloaded everything, that 10 years worth of personal stuff. We should upload that to the Cody GPT to get a little more well-rounded in my personality and stuff. So,
I had one there on Blogger. I had a good, at least 4 posts. Yeah.
Oh, I bet I had thousands.
That's the thing. You're a creator. You like you go and create.
I write. I used to write a lot more, but frankly, having Bryce on board, he's a terrific writer and he's got really deep thoughts and knows what we're trying to do. And so Bryce has been writing about 80% of our stuff. So it's almost like Bryce is an AI clone of me already.
No, I'm a partial biological clone, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm not artificial.
Not entirely.
Are you blood related?
Sometimes you're fake. Sometimes you're fake, Bryce, but we all are. So,
but I was going to say, as Cody, you grew up in the creator era. Have you graduated to influencer?
No. I mean, having my own TV show, I was almost famous, and I still wasn't an influencer, really, was I? So,
but the influencer tag, I think, is like cliche now because you can just self-proclaim yourself to be an influencer.
It's like a area of business you're going into. Yeah.
I met my niece's 17-year-old boyfriend yesterday before the Super Bowl, and sweet kid. But we were asking him what he wants to do. My father jumped right in. He's like, "What are you going to do for a career, boy?" And anyway, the kid's 17, doesn't know what he wants to do yet. But it would have been funny if he'd been like influencer. That would have
my nephew.
My dad out. Yeah,
it was a couple of years back. It was probably 5 years ago. My nephew, quick story. He was 12 or something, and my brother was like, "Yeah, he wants to be an influencer." That was like he already decided.
That was the career choice. Dara, nice to meet you almost in person. Is this the real Dara?
We don't even know.
I can't tell you that, man. That would ruin the secret.
Well, you are echoey a little bit. FYI.
That means he's human.
Yeah, this is human. Clones don't echo.
Oh no, I just lost my screen. There we are.
Gave
All
it
right.
away.
Yeah. All right, Dara. Can you introduce yourself a little bit better than we just did? I'm sure you didn't hear it, but we just were saying you are the CEO of Delphi.ai, and we built a Cody clone that we're still working on. We'd like to actually ask you, we're trying to turn it into an image at some point. We'll talk about that offline. Next week, I plan to have my own Delphi Cody AI clone on the call with me. But Dara,
Great.
is it Dara or Dara? And can you please tell us more about yourself and the company?
And who else is here?
Thanks, Cody.
Is Bryce and John.
Yeah, Bryce and John.
I'm Bryce.
Yeah.
Nice to see you guys.
Quick note there. John has worked in AI since 1995. He hates it when I say that, so I made a point to say it again real quick. Go ahead.
No, you're an OG, John. A lot of grifters these days, so it's good to know. My name is Dara. I've been in the AI space since 2014. I got into the space after reading Ray Kurzweil's book, How to Create a Mind, and just got me super interested in that idea, and started my first company in 2021. And it was during that time that I was reading a book about my grandfather, and I wanted to get his advice on what I was working on. So the concepts from Ray Kurzweil's book had kind of been in my mind for a while, and ended up creating a digital version of my grandpa that I could talk to and ask for advice. And that startup gets acquired, but that experience obviously gets me super interested in this idea of how we learn from other people, and how the only ways we can really do that right now are passively. Reading a book, watching a YouTube video, listening to a podcast. Unless you have like a lot of money or a great network where it can hop on StreamYard, you don't really get that experience. So we started Delphi, lets you create a digital version of your mind that other people can talk to. And now we're here.
Dara, I remember, I can't find it in writing somewhere, but I remember it was Kurzweil who called it weak immortality.
Weak immortality.
Like,
yeah.
Weak immortality. It's like you live forever except for you. Like
yeah, your legacy, your essence.
Weak version. You know, and actually, while we're talking on the Kurzweil topic, Bryce knows I don't know, about 5 years ago, I came up with this concept reading The Singularity is Near, which I never have finished because it's too hard to read. But in there, he talks about how technology continually accelerates in its advancement progress. And we call it the Kurzweilian, Bryce, what do I call it? The Kurzweilian acceleration of technology or something?
Yeah, like exponential acceleration of technology. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been a big influence on me over the last 5 or 7 years, and it is one of the reasons why we've been working on investing in the AI revolution for 5 or 6 years. We've been in NVIDIA since 2016, and some of the other Google since they came public and things. So we're big believers in the AI revolution, and in large reason, the reason we're still so bullish on it is because it's still accelerating, and it is happening so fast. Sam Altman talked about in his blog last night that the rate of advancement in AI is 12 times per year or 10 times per year faster progress, and it's basically, that's 5 times faster per year than Moore's law. And so we're living through this Kurzweilian acceleration of advancement. Dara, tell us a little more about how this business is running, what the product is. We talked a little bit about the clone that it is, and I'm excited to hear more. Quick note, we made a Milton Friedman Chat GPT at some point on Chat GPT, and it would be amazing. I assume this is where this is going. So what you're talking about, we would be able eventually to actually talk to a Milton Friedman clone that knows all of his writings.
Yeah, definitely. We very much view Delphi as almost a new form of content. People have tried to scale their thoughts since the dawn of time. The printing press, the radio, broadcasting, and having a digital mind lets you have the scalability of broadcast with the personalization of conversation. So we work with business owners who use their Delphi to scale themselves within their company or to their customers. We work with coaches and authors and experts who leverage their Delphi to monetize their expertise in an entirely new way. And then we work with just the average person who wants to use their Delphi as their new personal website. And it's like, hey, this is what I'm about. And their clone will let them know if it's someone interesting that comes by. So it's been really interesting to see all the different use cases.
Can we ask a couple of questions just about the business itself? Bryce and I, again,
Yeah.
we run a hedge fund, and we're always just interested in how the businesses are started up and built. You started this company in 2019, did you say? 2021?
2022. My first company was 2020.
First company is 2014.
Yeah.
Or you've been in the AI industry since 2014. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to try to mess up your Wikipedia page really well.
I don't know if I have one. Yeah.
You need one. We'll get an AI to create it.
Yeah, maybe I'll get one.
But so how many people in the company, how many programmers do you have working on this? Can you talk a little bit about the business?
Yeah, so it's me and my co-founder. We got 9 engineers. We have 2 ops people and a designer. So that's 13 total.
And the designers for the UI itself, for the website, for the app,
for the UX, all of it. Yeah, the product design.
Cool. Can you tell us what LLM you are running this on, if just one even? I don't know.
No, we're multi-model. We believe that most LLMs are going to be commoditized, so we want to build a system that can pretty much work with anything. And the key thing we focus on is very much, sorry, Amber Alert. The key thing we focus on is very much inspired by Ray Kurzweil's book, where he talks about how the mind is a hierarchy of pattern recognizers. And the way he describes pattern recognizers in that book that he wrote in 2012 is very, very similar to LLM. So the guy was ahead of his time. And so we think of our architecture as like a network of LLMs that can represent the mind at any point in time.
So like when we made our Cody GPT the other day, and then we uploaded 15 years of analysis and writing that I've done to it, and then we started asking it questions, and it spoke back to us, and it was quite fascinating and frankly incredibly accurate. It sounded like some of the answers it gave, I was like, well, I'm done. I don't even need to do my work anymore. This thing can do it. Is that thing reaching to multiple LLMs at the same time, or in that one interaction for 5 minutes, is it running off of one LLM?
Multiple. And it's while you upload data, we're extracting your heuristics of reasoning, your relationships, your experiences, and really trying to keep an up-to-date view, because something that you said yesterday may contradict something they said 5 years ago. So how do you deal with that contradiction? What do you actually believe?
I try to be consistent, but hypocrisy and error somehow creeps in occasionally.
Go
ahead, John, please.
One kind of architecture question. Are you using retrieval augmented generation, or are you more upfront caching out what you pull in data-wise?
We are using a version of RAG. It's more similar to GraphRag, if you're familiar with knowledge graphs and retrieval across knowledge graphs.
I do GraphRag every day using
great.
Neo4j and right now Llama 3.3. But yeah.
Do you want to come work with us?
Well, we're doing kind of cool stuff where I am. So, but no, that sounds awesome. I actually was going to ask if you're familiar with Marvin Minsky's Society of Mind. If not,
sounds really familiar.
Check that book out because it's another angle on what you were just talking about. With Kurzweil talks of the different frames of reference for an individual. It says that the mind is made up of thousands or many more mindless agents, and he said that back in maybe the 80s, and it's really prescient. And
I'll check this out. I love books on the mind, as you know.
It's like it's like Lao Tzu to read it, because each side of a page is its own one whole story that is like you just read it and you get it in your head, and it's like, yeah.
Bryce, can you order us Minsky's, what was the title of the book, John?
Society of Mind.
Society of Mind. Let's read that. Derek, can you talk a little bit then of just even, can you show us the clone if you are not the clone?
Yeah, I can.
And if you are the clone, can you show us the real Dara? Derek, please.
No, this is the real Dara. I'll give you that. Let me see if I can share my screen.
Great.
Yeah, I'm gonna add
you guys.
Yes, we see.
You guys see? Yeah. Okay, great. So this is, as you know, the studio. You can upload data from pretty much any source, and learns how you think, and you can manage all your data. You can create different versions of yourself, and so the idea here is who you are with your family is different than who you are with new hires, which is different than who you are with the public, which
Oh,
is different than who you are with like
Yeah.
private clients. So you can
Nice.
have different intentions, and you can also choose what data is accessible to different groups.
Dara, that is a fascinating. Can I just? We're going to have to keep interjecting. This is
Yeah, please do.
This is fascinating. When I used to do TV for a living, I always tried to remember I had like 4 different realities I was supposed to keep track of. It was the stuff I would say on TV on air. There was the stuff I would say during commercial break to my producers, which was another level of freedom. Then there's the Cody Willard who hangs out and has a drink at the bar with the guy. And then there's the one at home by myself or with my family. And so I used to literally ponder, like, there's 4 Codys, 4 tracks of mind I have to sort of keep track of. And you just showed us 5. Like, it's almost the same concept. That's amazing.
And it's interesting too, because you talk about like who you're talking to, whatever, but it's also who you're talking to ends up determining kind of how much of yourself you reveal in a way. So like
exactly,
this is close friend kind of layer. Because when I was thinking about, because I just about 2 years ago, you know, I invented your product. My wife jokes, I always say I invented something, and she's like, yeah, that already exists. Like, yeah, but I didn't know it. So and no, I talked a lot about like, what if I made something that, you know, I could, like, when I'm gone, my loved ones have something to talk to. It just got a weirdness to it that is its own whole conversation. But if you had with that, just to bring up that idea of, you know, you've got this layer of stuff you haven't told anybody. And it's like, if they spent enough time with you, it's going to get them down into that layer. So they're up talking to you like this. And you're like, you know what? Like, it's like we've had a few drinks. Let me tell you this other thing, kind of thing, whatever.
Yeah, Dara, walk us through a little bit. I see where you're going with that. Family, etc.
So right now, this is manual. Like, you create an instance and then you select what data it has access to. We're actually working on making this automatic, where it can automatically determine, okay, who am I talking to? Oh, it's my mom, or it's my grandkids, and you can control it on like the user level, and it'll automatically know what its objective is. So right now you can do it manually. We're working on making it intelligently, so that it can determine how it should act and what it should use depending on who it's talking to. And we also have voice and video, as we mentioned. And then once, you know, you have a digital mind, it's talking to people, you can get notified whenever it doesn't know how to answer a question, so you can see where its gaps are. You can set alerts so that, for example, I want my Delphi to tell me whenever someone says, I want to subscribe, or whenever someone says something has failed. And that way I can prioritize that person and make sure that they're getting attention. And this is actually coming out next week. So it's not out to you yet, but the ability to have your clone take actions based on specific triggers. So it can be proactive with someone. It can keep someone accountable. It can follow up. That will be coming in the next week. So this is the studio experience. And then we have insights. You know, what are people talking about? What are the popular topics? And then the actual experience looks something like
what
this.
Are the popular topics that people are talking to Dara's clone about? Is that what you mean? Not or what you just showed us? Is that is for your specific clone? Yeah.
So mine will be like, people are curious about pricing, or, you know, what is Delphi, use cases. And I can say, okay, people are curious about this topic, so I'm going to make sure that I write more documentation about it, or maybe I'll write a blog post on it. So it helps you kind of think about what people are interested in and what you should prioritize.
It's fascinating. It already is fascinating. Do you have yourself uploaded as a video clone that we could talk to?
I do. I've turned it off because the video technology is still not quite good where it feels really real, but I'll turn it back on just for the sake of this.
A little uncanny valley right now.
Can you guess?
So
is it inference that's the problem with the
inference and quality? We have a new model coming out in like a week and a half, so I think it's supposed to be better, but you'll see when it comes out.
Lag, I bet. And
oh, we talked to him, Bryce. Yeah, we did this. We like Dara the clone.
Hey, Dara, tell me about Delphi. I don't know if you can hear him.
We cannot.
You cannot. Okay.
His mute is on. Is that his mute?
No, that's us.
The one in the middle of the screen there? Oh.
Still nothing. Try the MacBook Pro.
Well,
No, the microphone. That's no good.
Is he responding to you and we just don't hear it?
Yeah.
yeah, he's talking. I could send you the link so you guys can try it separately.
Yeah, will you post it? Bryce, can you throw it in the chat right there?
It always comes down to us having trouble with just the sharing in here, you know.
Yeah.
Darn. So can you just talk a little bit about that? What it's almost a bottleneck or something that you're running into here. And what is the bottleneck that keeps it from being, because when you talk to the voice, we called, after we made the voice Cody clone, we called my daughter, and she's 11 years old. And she thought it was, her teacher was like, that must be some sort of scam. Hang up. That's not your dad, but it sounds like him. And I was like, dang, that was pretty interesting that they clued into it. But then I called my wife. She had a minute-long conversation with the Cody clone.
What does that tell you?
Human Turing test.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But so my point being that it is relatively realistic that it was, and its response time was fast enough and it sounded enough like me that it worked. What is the bottleneck that keeps the video version of that being just as easily done? Again, is it inference? Is it training? Is it bandwidth? Is it costs?
I think it's twofold. One, it's probably just the training, because right now, if you talk to my Delphi, it stays in the same position and has the same movements because you train it on a video, and a normal person doesn't just sit there. They maybe itch their head, they drink their water, they don't just stand there awkwardly and shiver a little bit. So I think because of that, it's just uncomfortable for a lot of people. And we have people calling clones for 6 hours at a time. The calling experience has been pretty normalized, but I think the video is very much psychological, where it's a little weird and a little creepy. And I think even if it gets really good, I'm not sure if it'll get mass adoption like video and text.
Oh, come on. Absolutely it will.
We'll see.
I mean, that'd be like telling Twitter that there'd never be a TikTok. It's coming, man.
maybe right.
Dar, one of the integrations you already have is with YouTube channels, right?
Yeah.
And so can you train the video based just off the YouTube channels or not?
Yeah, you can pass in your YouTube channel. It'll transcribe all the videos, separate it by speaker so it knows who's speaking, and it knows what parts to infer from.
So we could upload I still go on TV occasionally, put it on YouTube about half the time, and then there's hundreds or thousands of videos from me back in the day and we could just tell it to search all YouTube for quote Cody Willard, and it would know.
No, you have to get the links. Yeah, you have to get the links or the channel. Yeah, it's not going to search right now.
John, you're muted.
John, I think you're on mute.
Is that why you're ignoring me? You think that's a good enough reason?
It is.
So no. So yeah, that's just it's like scraping out the text. You're using the text from it. Have you seen the I guess the ByteDance thing with Einstein talking? And it was just last week. I thought it was ByteDance did it, but it's you take a single image.
I think it was ByteDance.
Oh, yeah,
John.
Yeah.
One photograph from whatever, and then you've got that person moving around and talking, and it's full body too, not just the top. So it's whatever that stuff is. The last company I was at, we were it was when all this stuff was at the caveman level. But you're going to keep kind of going with state of the art, right? You're going to chase and use because you're not sitting there.
Always.
What's that?
Yeah, we're not training our own video models. We're using whatever's latest.
Yeah, you want to use whatever's the best stuff, and you'll just keep using the best stuff. And now that there's multiple of them with the the real time audio response and things like that, that's awesome. And the video just keeps
pricing's going to go down. Yeah,
so that's
love
great.
competition.
I have a different question to interject here, which is, Cody was asking about your size, your business, whatever. I want to understand your business model a little bit, because I always come from the angle of wanting to challenge you on what other kind of things you could be doing there, making sure you're not undervaluing. So what are you doing now? What are you thinking of for that?
Sure, I think we are. Everyone always tells us that we're undercharging, so I think we might be undervaluing a little bit. But you can think about our business model. It's a two-sided business model. The first side is similar to Wix. If you're familiar with Wix, 6 million people pay Wix monthly to access a form of scaling themselves, which is a personal website. It's static. And so people pay us monthly for a way of scaling themselves that is interactive. And the tiers are based on the amount of usage you want, the capabilities, analytics, video, all these things. And then people can monetize their digital mind. We have people making over $1 million, and we get rev share on that new kind of monetization, which is more similar to like a course. So that's our business model right now.
Yeah. So on the rev share one, because that's where I find it really interesting. It's great to have a an entry tier that lets lots of people in and everything. You want to make sure you've got distinct about what it is that's there versus what else shows up for the part. I'm thinking about things. I'm hearing more about this kind of thing lately. Of I want to have that person on our board, and we can't afford that person on our board, or they're out of time for how many boards they're going to get on. But we can get virtual that person on our board. And what is it that has to get kind of incorporated into what you've got, whether it's that extra access to knowledge so that they're actually up to what's up with the company that they're working for, et cetera, and caught up on it. But, to be a member of the board, basically.
Yeah. I mean, one of the key things we're trying to do is not just capture what you know, but how you think about things. So if you bring someone on the board and you're saying, hey, this is our situation, what would you do in our situation? They've never spoken about that in their life before, but with our system, because we're trying to capture the way you reason, then it should actually be useful. That's why you would want someone on your board, for their way of thinking, not because of specific things they know.
Of course. Yeah, that's great.
Again, it's like the patterns of the thought. What did we write down? Hierarchy of pattern recognition.
Exactly.
Dark, what do you think is your, because Cody mentioned we built a custom GPT with basically the same inputs that we built the clone with, but the clone is so much better than what the custom GPT was. So what are your technical innovations that are making your output so much better on the same training inputs?
Well, I think an analogy I like to use is in the 2000s .com era, people made websites for everything. Like everyone thought website was one industry. And then you broke into social media, you broke into e-commerce. And similarly, chat, people are thinking chat is one thing. There's only one chat company. But I think chat breaks into recommender systems, digital minds, personal assistants. And so custom GPTs are optimizing for chat as everything, where we're hyper focused on creating a human mind, and that just creates different products in the end.
Amazing.
That does.
How long before it took a little bit of work for us to create a Delphi AI clone, speaking to it, uploading some content. Again, the output was better than ChatGPT's Cody GPT, by the way, with the same uploaded content, maybe even a little bit less on the Delphi clone. But how long before it gets so easy where there's an agent that on my phone, I'm like, hey, make a clone of Cody, and it goes out into Delphi and signs up, sends you to the YouTube videos of Cody, gets you the content for Cody. I mean, all of this gets automated as AI teaches itself to just start doing it all for us, I would think.
Yeah, we're working on a new onboarding where you literally put in your name and it searches the internet for everything it can find about you. And then if you don't have a ton of data, it'll start asking you questions to start creating itself. So that's something that we're working on.
It's amazing. And it's going to go faster. I'd like to, on that same note, could you give me a vision of what you would picture Delphi, where you guys would be at in 1 year, 3 years, and 10 years? Where the technology is at and what the company is doing even?
Yeah, I think in a year from now, my hope is that, because right now our idea is very weird for a lot of people. and I'm hoping that it is viewed, talking to a digital mind is more useful than reading a book or taking a course, because it's personalized to you, it grows with you, it can keep you accountable, and it start to be viewed as a legit form of scaling your thoughts. And then long term, we will have a consumer platform that, it's a library of digital minds, and you can find people based on the quality of their thoughts and their expertise versus, on LinkedIn, you can find people based on the company they worked at.
You know how in the movie Her, later in the movie, she's like grown bored of the human that she's talking to because she's out busy having 1,000 other conversations, or she's now out talking among the AIs. So if you've got your digital twin, one of them out there talking to other digital twins, and they get to kind of know each other well enough that it's time to make a real introduction back into the person that you are and the person, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you let that stuff go and do the networking at first.
Yeah, totally. That's definitely been a thought.
Yeah, Dara,
Right.
I think Mark Zuckerberg has talked about building some sort of similar thing for content creators, like on Instagram, and helping them scale, because everyone wants to talk to Kim Kardashian, but obviously they can't. But she's on Instagram and has millions of followers. Do you see Meta as like a threat to what you guys are trying to build, or is it complementary, or is it something where you can maybe even integrate with like social media at some point?
We'll probably have integrations. I think Meta will have a difficult time making this idea work for them for a couple of reasons. One, talking to digital clones on Instagram DMs is just a different habit than what we use Instagram DMs for. So getting consumer adoption there is going to be difficult. And then the second thing is data privacy and data ownership is surprisingly very, very important for our customers. And for us, like any data people upload to their digital mind, they own. It's not being used to train some like underlying model. And that's very much not the case for OpenAI and Meta. And I think that's actually where we might have an advantage, where like, we don't need your data to train a big underlying model. We're working on the architecture for the mind, and you own your data, you own your clone. Like, we can't do anything with it.
They got
and it's fully
pushback.
portable.
I think they got pushback. They pulled back what they were starting to do themselves.
Well, the thing they got pushback on was the reason they got pushback is they weren't even doing digital clones. They were having like Kim Kardashian play someone else. And that kind of ruins the purpose. You want to talk to someone because they're someone, not because they're just because of how they look like.
I'm thinking of the thing they did after that, because it wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't right. It wasn't the digital twin either. It was more like, we're going to put some fake people out there and start populating. And it's like, don't we have enough bots? Why?
But it reminds me, I had an app company 10 years ago, and what the whole the concept was to have individual celebrity or company apps. And all we would do is we would take their Insta, Twitter, their socials, their website, and just put them in an app. And then they didn't have to necessarily try to update their app directly. They could just keep doing what they're doing, and their super fans could interact and find everything about them in one spot. But what it was missing was interaction with them. And we did at one point create, like, Neil Patrick Harris was one of our partners. He's my oldest friend in the world, and not oldest, but my longest running friend in the world. And we had one for him, for example, and he would, we did a FaceTime kind of technology we layered in there, and his fans could get on and talk to him, ask him questions through the app. But obviously that didn't scale. Like, he could do it once a month for 30 minutes, and that's about all the time he had for his random fan to ask him what color he likes. But it would be, it was missing. And what would be a great addition to that would, I now have the Neil Patrick Harris app, which all of his social and his website and whatever movie clips you can pull off of YouTube and watch it for him and everything else. And then actually be like, hey, I want to ask Neil about his movie. And it would do what you're talking about. It would know what he would answer about how he enjoyed making Girl Interrupted or something.
So what if the real Neil is scarce, that there's a way to kind of have it as a final boss level to be talking to the real Neil? So it's those who are chatting successfully with and working through the layers of the other.
Yes,
Neil.
That's literally how we see it. In the best world, obviously for some of our VCs, we want them to be able to make their clone available, and the clone will let them know if it's a good founder to talk to invest in. And so you almost have to pass like these tests and qualify. That's what the alerting feature is for. You can describe what you want to be notified.
What do you call it? Qualifying. they're qualifying.
Qualifying, yeah. It's almost like lead qualification, yeah.
It's like a pre-vet, and not pre-veterinary at school, but pre-vetting the system.
Yeah.
But it's also payback, like when you have get your your Starbucks card punched or whatever. It's like, yes, you put in the work of getting in touch and being in touch, and kind of you earned it. So
yeah, I mean, I went to a conference about a month ago, and I didn't give anyone my email. I just sent them my Delphi, because everyone, I can't have meetings with everyone. I do the same for hiring. Like, I make new hires talk to my Delphi first before chatting. Saves me a lot of time and end up talking to good people.
But that's exactly the thing that we're always talking about with the AI revolution. All of us, like the lowest hanging fruit of the AI revolution is productivity enhancement. It's just making us all more efficient with our time and energy. And this is a obvious case in point of that being utilized right here, right now. Dar's got more time to build his business because he's not talking to every single AI wannabe who's trying to work for him.
Yes.
So two things. One is it would be important to have a good memory of those actual interactions, so that you're not just having a read-only throwaway kind of thing, but you gave somebody.
He said it takes notes.
Yes, take it to the notes, whatever. So that, like, you're talking to, you said, hey, I'll give you my Delphi. You do that. And that when they do talk to that it's gathering the info from that conversation, so that if it does get back to you or to the next level up Delphi or whatever it is, it's not forgotten and it's not wasted time that took place, right?
Dar, that's happening already, right?
That's happening already. We don't have the leveling yet, but we are starting to work on the leveling.
Yeah. So having
how many people do you need, Dara? Is it just engineers that you need more than anything else?
Yeah, we need good engineers. Because there's a lot we got to build. But I don't want to. I believe in having a lean team, especially today in the world of AI. Like, I think you can be very capable with a small group of people.
How much are your engineers on a daily basis using one of the LLMs to help them create the code that then goes into your Delphi AI system?
They all better be. If they're not, then I didn't hire well. I mean, if you're not, it's just
let me ask it a different way. I mean, is that pretty much already the job at an AI startup, that your engineers go in every day and get LLMs to write code to make the product better?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. LLM is more augmentative, but for the type of product we are building, you still need engineers who understand code and who understand system design and data architectures. We're definitely not at a point where you can hire like a non-engineer and they put it into Claude and they get the code.
Yeah, no.
Definitely not that kind yet.
Another sort of angle on the way to think of this or whatever for me is, people know that the AI is coming along and it's going to make us all more productive and so forth. But I think a lot of people think of that in terms of either I'm going to go do some no code thing, or sort of automation oriented, macro oriented. It's like, but then there's the 90% of people who will never, do that. And if you just are thinking of, I'm going to stick me out there, and for the X percent of stuff that I'm involved in that has to do with interacting with others, that's the side of it where I'm going to do the amplifying, you got a much better chance at kind of jump starting the productivity of people than anybody who's just saying, oh, like, what's your use case? We'll go code it for you. We'll go put it together for you,
Yeah. No, totally.
No, it's pre-built. Yeah, it's inherent in what you're doing.
Yeah. Which is like, go back to the thing you're saying about websites, and you gave the example at first more to talk about how it starts out horizontal, but then you realize that it's got verticals. But you in some sense, you're like the new horizontal, which is that you bring the productivity that one gets from just having a website. But then it's like, to be good at that, well,
you get depth. You can get,
depth. Yeah.
It's the same broadcasting idea. You're broadcasting your thoughts through a website, but now you're broadcasting your thoughts through a Delphi, and it's continuous. There's like multiple paths that someone could take when they arrive.
Yeah, broad catch even, which is look on that.
Right.
Bryce, tell them a little bit how blown away you were when I'd been playing with it a little bit, and then I was like, hey, they're doing a conference or a webcast or something. Hop on that webcast. Tell me what you think of this company. And you called me like about halfway through. I think I actually called in, and you were like, dude, I'm in this. This is amazing. Let me just focus here. Talk a little bit about that experience and why you thought it was so amazing.
Yeah, so I hopped on a training or demo that one of your people did about the Zoom integration that you rolled out in the last couple of weeks or month or whatever. And I guess that was what blew me away because, we talk about the concept of the Singularity and Kurzweil and all this stuff all the time, like Cody mentioned. And then when I saw it happening and she had heard Delphi in there asking questions and people were talking to it and everybody was on the call, just blown away because it's the idea that you could have this true like human or digital replication of a human that is like useful to talk to and entertaining and realistic and all that kind of stuff. So it was just like, it really felt, it was one of those moments where it's like the future is here. The thing that we've been picturing for decades is actually happening now. And I guess that's really what blew me away. And again, like Cody says a lot, the AI revolution is in like dial-up internet stage. And so I'm like, in 5 years, what is Delphi going to look like? It's going to be incredible. And so that's where I was like, we got to reach out to and then also it lines up with what Cody's, business model has been for years. And he's a content creator and everything. I'm like, yeah, we can use it personally as part of our business. And then it's obviously going to be an incredible product that many, many other people are going to use going
have
forward.
An impact on the economy writ large.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Dara? There was
I agree. It's why I work 7 days a week. I mean, I see the potential. I see the value both in me as a consumer, of me learning from different Delphis, and me as a creator of a clone, where it saves me a ton of time and get good insights.
Dara, on the competitive front, I'm sorry to do this to you, but how do you stop a Google or Meta or someone from turning on something like this?
Or character AI.
If you guys kick ass and they're like, well, we can buy Delphi for 10 billion, or we can build this for $1 billion. Let's just get our engineers channeled on it. I
think I don't really think too much of competition. A company rarely dies from competition. It usually dies from, or they say suicide, not homicide. Yeah, I think ultimately we're just focused on building the best products, and all of our growth has been organic and word of mouth. And I think that means that we're building something good and hopefully building a trusted brand, which is something that I think bigger tech companies will have an issue doing.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to add to that. One of the things that really impressed me once we got into the site was your UI is really impressive and intuitive.
I appreciate that.
As a non-tech dude, I'm a lawyer by background and now a hedge fund guy, I was like, how are these guys this far along? It's so easy to use. And that is a real edge that Cody and I talk about a lot. Even though you would think user interfaces can just be replicated by anybody, it really can be a major edge for your business.
It's huge.
Figure it out. You're a long ways along in that, in my opinion.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Dara, can you answer the question from Scott R. here? What is the distribution of business versus personal use of Delphi AI minds as we're in this dial-up internet phase of the AI revolution?
I can do that by dollars or customers.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we're almost entering, the creator economy is a place where an individual is a business. So where is the line? Like coaches, authors, experts, like people, their personal brand is the same as their business. So I've been thinking about this a lot. Because people are like, are you B2B? Are you consumer? And I'm like, all of our consumers are also kind of businesses in themselves. So the line kind of blends together.
I'm a perfect example of that, John. Like I sit here and I've got the Trading with Cody and we do this content creation stuff. And, I don't monetize. Trading with Cody's like $1,300 a year or something like that. So I do monetize that directly. We don't do any advertising revenue generation or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is I'm using it as a business, even if I'm doing it like as a,
it's the same because we have a lot of business owners who are technically like businesses, but like they're individuals who subscribe to the product. CEOs of companies are those businesses, or is that personal?
Well, one of the way to think of that breakdown might be subscription versus rev share, because people can do subscription and still be on the business side, but it kind of puts them in a small business level versus the ones that are and it's like I wouldn't even use the rev share side of it, even if I were a huge business or a huge celebrity, unless I could be clear about what's in that particular kind of tier.
Well, yeah, I would say most people actually aren't monetizing directly yet, just because I think there's like a product marketing issue where people don't actually know how to communicate it as well as I know how to communicate it. So I got to do a lot of user education. A lot of people are. It's more like brand building, parasocial relationship, trust building, top of funnel and middle of funnel, and then you have people who are monetizing at the bottom. But I would say the majority are not monetizing it right now. I think that is going to change over the next 6 months.
So I'll give you another customer base target. Every salesperson out there that's on, virtually from different companies. So every website has its little chat thing up in the corner, but then you've got like, I really spoke with this salesperson. And then after you go from sales, obviously next is, the CSRs. And like, that's where the money is in
CSRs. Nobody knows what CSR is, John.
Customer service representative, the person you're on the phone with. I mean, everybody, that's where the money is. It's in the front half of the business. And these places, if you're like, I can get a version of these people out there for every one of them. And then they love the metrics. It'll be like, how much customer FaceTime did we get? And it's like, you were getting this much and now you're getting this much. And that translates.
It's the same concept of like a software developer can now do 10 or 50 times as much code because he doesn't have to write each line per se.
Yes.
And now your sales guy can take 10 times as many calls
now it's
because it's being filtered through the Delphi, and then eventually you might actually close the sell. But it also in 5 years it'll be to the point where the Delphi AI clone is closing the cell for you.
And are those clones like, and then maybe not yet because you talk about these different layers about what they talk about, but right now that would be sort of reactive, informational and so forth. But do you get them to be more kind of have a plan and be goal oriented?
Yeah.
And be like, the sales ones are trying to get you, through the funnel.
Yeah. Yeah, we have they're open-ended conversations with a goal. So they do actually direct, but it's not as specific as like, we need to ask these 5 questions and then they're qualified and then they're passed to someone. That scripting is coming. The leveling and the scripting is something that we're starting to work on.
Yeah.
Dar, it's really exciting. Bryce, John, let's give each maybe one more question. And then Dar, if you would tell us what question we should have asked you, but we didn't. And then I have one quick, I'll have a last thought too, but Bryce or John, one last question.
My final thought is, okay. I do think you have like an enterprise angle to this at some point. Because I just think back to my early days at my old law firm. It was a big law firm. And like, when I would have a question for the partner I was working for, and, those guys and ladies bill very expensive per hour. And so if you're going to go walk into their office and ask them questions, they're going to clock out and have to listen to you ask dumb questions because you, as a first year associate, you don't know. And so like, I would be nervous, go to those meetings, have my questions all ready to go. I knew exactly what I needed to ask that partner. So I only took 5 minutes of his time instead of 30. And so like, but if the law partner could have his clone and I could go and ask that clone a whole bunch of questions before I needed to actually walk into his office, like that would be very valuable for the whole firm and for that law partner. There really is like an enterprise angle where you have senior employees have their clones, and then the junior guys that just got hired go talk to the clone, and then if the clone can't answer a question, come into my office and I'll clock out. And
so many angles on this.
Definitely.
I'd say okay. For me,
Go ahead,
I would say, what's that?
Let Dara, if you were going to say anything else.
I was just going to say, we don't really have an enterprise sales motion because, again, most of our growth is organic. And I believe just like we focus on building the best product and the rest will take care of itself.
Sure.
Yes. At some point, the product's got to be for someone. So you talk about going vertical and so forth. It's like, if it's a Wix, it's like for anyone. And that's cool in the beginning when you're getting things going. And then at some point, you got to choose your revenue streams and let that help for which direction you go. That's my product executive talking in me, who I was for I don't know, 15 or 20 years in the middle of that while AI was a piece of what I was doing. But now I've shifted back to where I'm like, I guess my title's AI architect, which is a really overblown title for what I'm just like one of the devs, but I switched sides to where I'm actually doing, development every day. And so for me, I just want to say, I'm going to have my twin talk to your twin once I'm happy where I am, but what you're doing is super interesting. And like, I'm going to keep on top of it.
John's people will talk
sounds
to
great.
your people.
We love that.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Here's the ultimate. I just, as we're talking, I pictured the ultimate business model for you. Here's what it is. I'm going to have my Optimus robot. His face will have a screen inside of it. And I'll be like, hey, go dress like Da Vinci and put on your Da Vinci face, grab the Delphi Da Vinci AI, come back in here, teach my classroom of students the Da Vinci, like how he would be a revolution investor today. And it will literally not, it's obviously not perfect, but it's like, you talk about a digital twin. How about a physical digital twin?
Yeah, in the room. Mine's as a service.
Done. And then you could be like, go dress like Steve Jobs and put on your Steve Jobs face.
Choose one of 20 robot types.
Well, we would need the Jobs family bought in. I think Da Vinci is in the public domain.
Well, there you go.
You just do peeve mobs, and it's like it's nothing to do with him.
Yeah, it's just like his brain, but we didn't actually use his name. Yeah, that's
we gotta be the trusted company. We can't.
That's what
I'm
going to say. That John, that's just bad advice, dude.
Why are you trying to tell him to do that, man? That's just bad.
Hey, Dara, anything we should have asked you? Any last words? The last word on the call here. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great questions. I guess like one thing that some people ask is, in a world of AGI, like why does something like Delphi matter? You can just talk to ChatGPT about every single one of your problems. And I think the bear case for Delphi is a world where humans don't matter at all, which I think is pretty depressing. And if you think about, in the .com era, Wikipedia and all these informational sources came out and people are like, wow, I can get all this information. And then what happened? The pendulum swinged and YouTube, podcasts, audiobooks, the desire for curation and trust occurred as a result of the abundance of the internet. And so similarly, like abundance of AI, right now we're like super impressed with all this content, but eventually the pendulum swings back to the need for curation and our like psychological need to get things that come from humans that exist.
Awesome. Hey, wait, I got one.
I'm writing down that the abundance leads to curation is a wonderful concept. Thank you. John, that was the last word. You can't say anything else.
This isn't the last word. This isn't the last word. Don't worry. That other one was the last word. This is after the last word.
This is postscript.
How do you differentiate from like a character.ai?
I actually don't really view Character.ai as a competitor, because of a couple of reasons. One, they're very much focused on the consumer. It's like an entertainment play. And, we have had customers that Character.ai has tried to bring on. And they didn't go with Character.ai because of the brand Character.ai has. It's a platform for talking to anime characters and AI girlfriends and like fake people. It's not a serious platform. Representation of digital identity. Don't quote me on that.
No, but Dar, that's really good. Even what you said, I wrote it down again because Bryce and I, as hedge fund guys, have to short stocks a lot, and it's probably our least favorite part of our job. But a lot of times the pitch from a short seller will be, dude, competition is about to kick their ass. And that's almost always the worst short. Like competition, like you said, it's suicide, not homicide that usually gets a company. Another quote I wrote down. That was great.
A very growing space here where there is hardly anything exists yet. And anybody who shows up with something similar, it's like, great, you've helped validate the whole space with us.
Yeah, no, the path here has been cluttered with competition that has pivoted or failed or chose the wrong thing. It's never the reason.
Yeah. Good.
All right, this was fantastic. Could we ask you to come back in 3 or 6 months? We'd love to have another contact with you and show us an update.
We won't know if it's him by then.
Let's do it in 6 months. We'll have a lot of new things by then.
We won't know if it's him.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm not going to let John get the last word in.
Thank you, guys. Good chatting. See you.
Thanks,
Bye,
Mark.
guys.
Bye.
That was